On May 31st, 2006, in Stockholm, a server tucked away in a teenager's bedroom is on the verge of becoming the planet's most pursued piece of technology. This machine powers the Pirate Bay, the platform blamed for siphoning $30 billion from Hollywood studios, devastating record companies, and ridiculing global copyright regulations. 53 officers, fully armed, raided the data facility, grabbing every server, wire, and gadget in an operation meant to deliver a fatal strike. By midday, Swedish officials were boasting about their triumph in press briefings. Tinseltown bosses raised glasses to celebrate. The infamous piracy network, drawing 25 million visitors each day, appeared finished at last. Yet just 72 hours on, the Pirate Bay re-emerged online, unfazed. Its front page now taunted foes, with an image of a pirate vessel blasting cannon fire at the Hollywood sign. What truly alarms every watching authority and business giant is this. The site didn't merely endure. It turned indestructible. Authorities confiscated all the tangible hardware, detained the creators, and still it resurrected. If something like this can't be eradicated, then dominating the web is out of reach. How could 3 hackers from Sweden construct an entity that defies elimination? And what insight did they possess that escaped multi-billion-dollar enterprises? Back in Stockholm, 2001, Gottfrid Svartholm perches cross-legged on his bedroom rug, observing cables trailing from a makeshift server stashed beneath his bed. At 19, with tousled hair, a doubting grin, and a spark in his gaze whenever cryptography comes up, he goes by Anakata online, a moniker destined to inspire awe and dread. Come 2003, alongside comrades Frederick Ney and Peter Sunde, he assembles a BitTorrent tracker as a casual venture for Pirate Byron, the anti-copyright group based in a Stockholm storage space. Their goal? Streamline file exchanges without barriers, regrets, or user monitoring. Gottfrid's personal server pulses as the core of this trial run. The tool ignites beyond their wildest expectations. Into late 2004, what began as a pastime gains the title The Pirate Bay, pulling in 40,000 participants, trading from free Linux versions to fresh Hollywood blockbusters. Each download routes via Gottfrid's setup. Mounting bandwidth costs soon unsettle his family. Frederick pushes for professional-grade servers right away. Thus they establish PRQ, a provider governed by a single principle. We accommodate all content. We retain no records. As rivals buckle to court demands, PRQ treats shutdown requests like trophies. The New York Times would eventually hail them as ultra-reliable, discretion-guaranteed providers skilled at repelling judicial assaults. In essence, it's a bold challenge. Quote, 0. The provocations mount swiftly. February 2004 sees DreamWorks lawyers issuing a takedown order for Shrek 2, served to the California address. Gottfrid's retort turns into online legend. Sweden isn't part of the United States. Just so you know, no Swedish regulations are breached here. Our view, backed by counsel, is that you're idiots. He proposes the studio attorneys try an inventive, body-focused maneuver with collapsible batons, closing with, "Go fuck out yourself." As courteous as ever, Anakata. Rather than retreat, the Pirate Bay splashes the full correspondence across its main page. The document explodes in popularity. Site visits surge threefold in a day. Each lawsuit morphs into unpaid promotion for their renegade image. Midway through 2005, the Pirate Bay juggles volumes that would thrill any emerging tech firm. Gottfrid largely codes it solo, featuring a bespoke tracker named Hypercube that synchronizes sharing over millions of devices at once. At its height, 25 million global connections funnel through the Pirate Bay's framework, enough to place it in the web's elite top 100. The design remains stark on purpose. Just a search field, a pirate vessel emblem, and endless media waves. Beneath that minimalism, Gottfried engineers near-eternal digital resilience. Each newcomer bolsters the system's toughness against takedowns. Every exchanged file builds in backups. It's evolved past a mere site into a thriving entity, expanding quicker than regulators can contain. The Motion Picture Association of America tracks this expansion with rising outrage. Suing everyday users yields little. They fixate on dismantling the backbone enabling it. And that backbone traces back to Sweden. Early 2006 brings MPAA, influencers leaning on Swedish envoys, urging intervention as messages shuttle between LA and Stockholm. Tensions escalate. Officials in Sweden, typically lax on web oversight, face transatlantic scrutiny. The administration demands resolution. May 2006, Gottfried's cell buzzes with an alert from an insider at a Swedish telecom firm. Law enforcement is gearing up. He dials Frederick. They'd rehearsed this crisis endlessly. Their backup strategy boils down to basics. Encrypted database backups are stored on servers in the Netherlands, primed for quick activation. Should the core setup collapse, the team plans to restore the Pirate Bay faster than Swedish broadcasters wrap up their nightly report. Over the past 2 years, Gottfried has meticulously ensured that the entire platform could squeeze onto a USB stick and spring back to life anywhere with power and internet access. As dawn breaks, that foresight faces a trial by fire from 53 SWAT-equipped officers. The operation looms just hours away, yet law enforcement remains oblivious to one crucial detail. They're on the verge of grabbing physical gear, while the vital data, the real heart of it all, has already been shuttled toward Amsterdam. How much time will pass before investigators grasp they've stormed a hollow shell? And what steps will Gottfried take when authorities close in on him directly? May 31st, 2006, 5:47 a.m. The initial breach occurs in Brenkirke, a Stockholm neighborhood hosting the bandwidth firm's facility for the Pirate Bay's key servers. Tactical units advance in coordinated waves. 10 sites struck all at once. Inside the data center, officers yank cables from metal frames during active processes. Drives get yanked out and bagged as proof. On-site tech staff freeze with arms up while cops cart off gear on carts. Gottfried in Stockholm and Frederick in Norway get handcuffed and whisked to distinct holding areas for questioning. Come 11 a.m., national TV airs urgent updates. Infamous file-sharing hub dismantled. A police official declares to the media that they've crushed a significant illegal enterprise. Online communities buzz with alarm across the globe. In the capital, crowds gather by the hundreds at Medborgar Platsen, hoisting Jolly Roger banners and shouting, quote, 3. It appears the studios have landed a flawless takedown. Attempts to access the site's domain yield only failures. Entertainment industry spokespeople praise Swedish officials for their bold strike against online pilfering. Copyright owners tally up the earnings they expect to reclaim. Still, few anticipate the twist ahead. June 2, 2006. Shortly past midnight, rumors begin to swirl. The platform re-emerges. Visitors hit reload on their screens. The front page appears. The iconic vessel emblem now sports an added flourish. Broadsides blasting at a slope bearing a Hollywood placard up high. A bold declaration follows. The universe's toughest BitTorrent hub. Amid the chaos of the takedown, Gottfried's crew pulled off their backup strategy without a hitch. They shifted the full dataset to Dutch hosting, redirected domain queries, and relaunched the whole operation in under 3 days. Cops took the machines, sure, but the user base and essential software stayed untouchable. Peter Sunde, the operation's outspoken spokesperson, fields questions from his place in Stockholm. Journalists pack in tight around his computer. The brief outage stemmed from no panic, he says with a smirk. Actually, we upgraded our setup to cope with the influx from all you reporters. And he's spot on. The bus turns into the Pirate Bay's best promo ever. Visits skyrocket, multiplying beyond previous peaks. The domain buckles under the flood, not from any shutdown. Gottfried and Frederick pull all-nighters to steady the systems. Tinseltown aimed to bury them but wound up granting bulletproof status. Out of sight, the group fortifies against future hits. Duplicate domains launch in various European and Asian spots. The software architecture turns flexible, built for rapid setup on foreign hosts at a moment's notice. Redundant files go out to reliable operators in half a dozen countries. When a reporter from Sweden probes their odds against another suite, Frederick replies without pause. We've got setups abroad. We're no fools. Such confidence is well-founded. They view cops as merely another glitch in the matrix to debug. Humiliated officials in Sweden press harder. They sift through confiscated items, piecing together charges. All the while, the Pirate Bay slaps the real search warrant up on their site, adorned with mocking asides. Haha, best of luck. Step it up. The mockery never lets up. Supporters wire in funds. Page views hit 30 million a day. What began in Gottfried's bedroom now thrives on a setup stretching over 3 continents. The crackdown intended to end them has instead elevated music, the Pirate Bay to worldwide icon status. In LA, NYC, and the UK capital, top brass fume. If even a government's forces fail to suppress a file-sharing operation for more than 72 hours, what hope for taming the web? Conference rooms swarm with legal experts plotting fresh approaches. Diplomatic pushes ramp up. Legislation bubbles forth. The pursuers reload. This round they aim at the individuals, bypassing the tech. A hearing looms that goes beyond the destiny of 3 Nordic coders. It probes if traditional IP protections can endure in an era of scattered digital webs. The Pirate Bay outlasted the storm, but evading a tribunal rigged to punish file sharers proves a taller order. Can Gottfried's expertise in technology hold up in a courtroom battle? What unfolds when the powers that be target the very icon of rebellion with jail time? On February 16, 2009, inside Stockholm District Court, 4 individuals occupy the defendant's bench. Gottfried appears wan, yet grinning faintly. Frederick Nye sits with folded arms. Peter Sunde taps out live updates on Twitter. Carl Lundstrom, the seasoned entrepreneur who funded the initial setup, rounds out the group. They nickname the proceedings the Spectre, a spectacle meant to dazzle and deter. Rather than hardened offenders, they resemble musicians arriving for a performance. Prosecutors paint them as cunning ringleaders enabling countless infringements of copyright and raking in ad profits by the millions. The defense counters that Pirate Bay operated squarely within Swedish regulations, a mere directory, not a repository. It held no protected materials itself, just external torrent pointers. Outside, demonstrators in pirate garb gather in support. Within the hall, reporters from 36 nations pack every available spot. The hearings oscillate from nitty-gritty tech details to broader debates on principles. One prosecutor fumbles a basic rundown of BitTorrent mechanics so thoroughly that Gottfried calls out a correction from his seat, prompting chuckles from the onlookers. Representatives from the entertainment sector display graphs alleging damages in the billions. Meanwhile, submissions from users pour in, recounting how the site unlocked cultural treasures, films, educational books, obscure movies, that would otherwise stay out of reach. The presiding judge probes deeply into questions of financial incentives. Defense attorneys highlight that advertising income scarcely offset server expenses. Peter Sunde chronicles the whole affair on his blog, transforming the case into an ongoing saga for his audience of 100,000. Verdict arrives on April 17, 2009, with the room overflowing and extra space non-existent. The judge delivers the decision. Guilty across the board for aiding copyright breaches. Each faces a 1-year prison stint. Together they must pay 30 million Swedish kroner, equivalent to about $3.6 to $6 million. Her delivery carries a firm edge, aimed squarely at warning the world. Almost instantly, Pirate Bay's front page swaps in a logo of Mickey Mouse with taped shut lips, a wordless stand against what they term censorship fueled by Disney. Peter Sunde dismisses the ruling to the press as akin to a bike lock penalty, a trivial slap for an offense without victims. Notably, Gottfried skips the reading of the outcome, a detail that hints at troubles ahead. Challenges to the decision kick off without delay. Swedish procedures mean sentences aren't binding until all appeals run their course, so no one heads behind bars immediately. Come November 2010, the appellate panel issues a partial victory. Jail time dips marginally for certain individuals, yet the penalty sum balloons to 46 million kroner, exceeding $7 million. For these men in their 20s, it's an unattainable amount. Quote, 5 Sunde posts online, vowing 0 voluntary payments. In 2011, Sweden's highest court declines to review the matter further. The rulings solidify, ready for execution. As officials move to detain the group, one proves elusive. Gottfried has disappeared. Formally, his no-show at the appeal stemmed from health issues. Behind the scenes, local news suggests he's escaped to Cambodia. Frederick Nye shifts to Laos alongside his spouse. Peter Sunde surrenders, following a series of goodbye appearances. Delivering talks at hacking events, Carl Lundstrom completes his short sentence via home confinement. Yet Gottfried, the visionary designer, the programmer, the builder of the system, has slipped entirely off the grid. Red alerts from Interpol circulate. Swedish envoys reach out to authorities in Southeast Asia. How does one capture a phantom reliant on secure channels and navigating nations lacking handover packs? Time drags on. Sporadic reports emerge. An émigré from Sweden spots him at a Phnom Penh cyberspot, bent over a ThinkPad. WikiLeaks would later credit him with aiding their 2010 data dump infrastructure. He's embodying the philosophy embedded in his software. Borderless, nomadic, untouchable. Pirate Bay, for its part, shows no signs of fading alongside its creators. In 2012, it undergoes a bold transformation, ditching torrent files in favor of magnet links. Traditional torrents offer tangible vulnerabilities, items that raids can grab or filters can block. Magnet links, by contrast, amount to simple code snippets, mere identifiers. You can't seize a formula. Dropping torrents eases legal pressures while dodging more restrictions. The platform's announcements tout the shift as streamlining operations and rendering it all but unassailable. They also share a zipped version of the full database, clocking in at mere gigabytes. Anyone can grab it and launch a mirror swiftly. Pirate Bay has evolved into a resilient network, primed to endure even total destruction of its core hardware. Traffic holds firm at peak levels through late 2011. The guilty verdicts failed to curb it. The bus couldn't halt it. For the community, the courtroom saga feels like events from another realm. Gottfried's invention has surpassed its inventor. It thrives independently of its originators. Yet Gottfried's own path is on the verge of a grim twist. The authorities in Sweden aren't done pursuing him, nor are those in Denmark. Fresh accusations are emerging that extend well past mere copyright violations. These involve intrusions into official databases, pilfered personal details, and claims that will recast Gottfried Svartholm music not merely as a defiant figure, but as a genuine danger. In a steamy flat in Cambodia, an exile picks up on sounds approaching from the corridor. Authorities have been tracking him through Southeast Asia for a year and a half. At last, they've narrowed the gap. What secrets does his computer hold when they burst inside? And could the legal troubles awaiting him back in Sweden mark only the start? August 30th, 2012. Phnom Penh, Cambodia. A combined operation, Swedish agents alongside local Cambodian forces, targets a riverside residence in the city. The entrance shatters. There, they discover a bearded 27-year-old bent over his machine amid scattered cans of energy drinks and discarded food boxes. Gottfred Svartholm surrenders peacefully. In under 3 days, he's airborne, heading to Stockholm after deportation, pushed by Sweden's insistence. The digital buccaneer who dodged a piracy ruling for over a year now faces detention to complete his 12-month term for the Pirate Bay. Swedish officials, however, harbor grander intentions. They view his period in hiding as more than mere evasion. They contend he was engaged in cyber intrusions. Additional indictments strike even as he's settling into incarceration. Unauthorized entry into Sweden's state databases and efforts at financial deception. These are the claims. From 2010 through 2012, while Gottfred was presumed to be simply evading capture in seclusion, operatives using his devices reportedly infiltrated Logica's networks. That company handles IT for Sweden's revenue service. The breach exposed tax identification numbers belonging to countless Swedish residents and sought to produce fake driving permits. Bolder still, traces point to probes against Nordea Bank's setups, aiming to trigger illicit fund movements. The storyline pivots sharply. Gottfred no longer appears solely as an anti-copyright insurgent. Instead, he's depicted as a malicious intruder endangering vital national frameworks. Gottfred rejects all of it. His rebuttal dives into intricate tech details. He asserts that outsiders hijacked his laptop, employing it as a front for their schemes. Quote 6, he confides to his attorney, offering digital forensics showing malicious software embedded in his setup. Unknown individuals allegedly manipulated his device from afar to launch the incursions during his stay in Cambodia. The explanation holds water. Experts in cybersecurity verify the presence of infections on his hardware, though accusers counter that his expertise allowed him to fabricate the traces himself. The 2013 court proceedings grow intricate, packed with jargon, and fiercely contested. Sweden's judges issue a divided ruling. Convicted on the Logica violations and the handling of protected state information. Lacking proof for the Nordea banking case. That accusation falls away. He draws a 2-year term, trimmed to 1 year following an appeal. Of note, the decision concedes external interference with his system at times, yet holds him accountable for the official data incursion. As he starts his stint behind bars in Sweden, a neighboring nation gears up its prosecution. Denmark has probed a severe violation of its systems. Back in 2012, intruders hit CSC, a key IT provider overseeing Danish police archives and welfare networks. The attack lifted identity numbers from millions of Danes and rifled through critical security files. It stands as one of Scandinavia's gravest digital violations. Danish sleuths follow message threads and online signatures back to a recognized pseudonym, Anakata. Toward the end of 2013, with Gottfred wrapping up his Swedish penalty, Denmark seeks his handover. He swiftly moved to Copenhagen and isolated in a cell. The Danish hearing in October 2014 unfolds with raw pressure and no mercy. The state lays out proof of a half-year assault on CSC's core servers, but his team reinforces the impersonation angle. The actual operator of those online chats wasn't Gottfried. A fellow defendant, a young 21-year-old Danish coder, takes the stand to say he encountered the authentic Anaconda, and it wasn't Svartholm. It's a daring ploy, insisting another individual borrowed Gottfried's moniker and tools for the offenses. The panel rejects it outright. The technical proofs prove decisive. Pilfered CSC, records on his storage, entry habits aligning with his gear, conversation styles bearing his signature quirks. October 27, 2014 brings the conviction. The punishment lands heavily. 3.5 years behind bars, the toughest for such crimes in Denmark then. His partner in the case, seen as a lesser player, gets off lightly and leaves with credit for time already spent. Gottfried, absorbing the decision, betrays no feeling. Years on the lam, dual courtroom battles, and repeated guilty calls have sapped the spark from his expression. September 2015, Gottfried emerges from a Danish lockup. Gaunt, music, and resolute. Denmark moves quickly to deport him right away, yet Swedish authorities swoop in and apprehend him once more on the prison grounds to serve out a last 1-month term. Lingering bureaucratic ties from those earlier hacking charges. Come December 2015, every obligation has been settled. At long last, he's released. His mother greets him outside the entrance, sharing with journalists that after 3 years without touching one, all he craves is time at a computer terminal. Gottfried has embodied the full hacker saga: innovation, triumph, music, banishment, judgment, incarceration, liberation. Meanwhile, the Pirate Bay endures online, continuing to distribute torrents via servers tucked away in hard-to-access spots, overseen by shadowy operators and devoted supporters. The platform has survived numerous takedown operations, scores of domain music confiscations, and the jailing of its entire founding trio. It no longer holds the same unchallenged power it once did. The rise of streaming platforms and splintered music file-sharing options has reshaped the scene, yet enter its web address, and there it stands. Or seek out one of its many proxy mirrors still navigating the waters. The Pirate Bay delivered a harsh truth. You cannot destroy something without a core. Yet certain folks refuse to grasp it. Back in 2011, a cybersecurity leader called Aaron Barr figured he'd unlock the secret, convinced he could reveal the faces behind Anonymous, that decentralized, headless collective which had toppled companies and regimes alike. So assured was Barr that he broadcast his intentions openly. He aimed to uncover Anonymous's key figures, demonstrate their vulnerability, and peddle his findings to the FBI. He possessed identities. He held proof. He devised a strategy. What escaped him entirely was the storm he'd unleashed. In under 72 hours, Anonymous struck back with a vengeance that rendered the assaults on the Pirate Bay seem tame by comparison. They didn't merely breach HB Jerry, they methodically tore apart every element of Barr's empire, one mortifying fragment at a time. If you're curious about the fallout from challenging the web as a whole, watch our feature on the operative who dared to expose Music Anonymous. After all, the pursuer can swiftly turn into the quarry.